Hi there, this is Emily, or Cuttlefish Love. This is just a very short ASMR. Today is a reading ASMR, and I'm going to be reading from a Beatrix Potter book called The Tale of Ginger and Pickles. I've chosen this book because I think it's one of the more boring of the books, and I really like when someone's reading for it to be quite mundane, and so that I can just kind of focus on the sounds. Rather than kind of getting drawn into the story. And I'm going to try and show you some of the little illustrations as well. And I'm going to read to you a little bit from just the inside of the book, telling you a little bit more about Beatrix Potter. It says, Beatrix Potter loved the countryside, and she spent much of her otherwise conventional Victorian childhood drawing and studying animals. Her passion for the natural world lay behind the creation of her famous series of little books. A particular source of inspiration was the English Lake District, where she lived for the last 30 years of her life as a farmer and land conservationist working with the National Trust. Beatrix Potter was living in the Lake District village of near Sorey when The Tale of Ginger and Pickles was published, and the villagers were delighted to recognise many familiar views in it. Beatrix Potter's fans also enjoyed spotting old friends from previous books, including Peter Rabbit as customers in Ginger and Pickles' shop. And then there's a little, this book belongs to, bit here where you can write your name. And it's a little illustration of some mice, and one of them has got stuck in a bottle. The title page, which is I think the same on all of her books, and just has lots of her little characters like Tom Kitten, Peter Rabbit, I think that's Old Brown from Squirrel Nutkin, and that must be Squirrel Nutkin, Mice from the Tailor of Gloucester, and Mrs. Tittlemouse. And here's a little illustration of some of the cats looking into the shop. Once upon a time there was a village shop. The name over the window was Ginger and Pickles. It was a little small shop, just the right size for dolls. Lucinda and Jane, doll cook, always bought their groceries at Ginger and Pickles. You can just see a little bit inside the shop there in that illustration. You can see Peter Rabbit at the counter. The counter inside was a convenient height for rabbits. Ginger and Pickles sold red spotty pocket handkerchiefs at a penny 3 farthings. They also sold sugar and snuff and galoshes. In fact, although it was such a small shop, it sold nearly everything, except a few things that you want in a hurry, like bootlaces, hairpins, and mutton chops. Ginger and Pickles were the people who kept the shop. Ginger was a yellow tomcat, and Pickles was a terrier. The rabbits were always a little bit afraid of Pickles. The shop was also patronised by mice, only the mice were rather afraid of Ginger. Ginger usually requested Pickles to serve them because he said it made his mouth water. I cannot bear, said he, to see them going out at the door carrying their little parcels. I have the same feeling about rats, replied Pickles, but it would never do to eat our customers. They would leave us and go to Tabitha Twitchet's. On the contrary, they would go nowhere, replied Ginger gloomily. Tabitha Twitchet kept the only other shop in the village. She did not give credit. There's a little picture of Mrs. Tickywinkle in the shop. Ginger and Pickles gave unlimited credit. Now the meaning of credit is this. When a customer buys a bar of soap, instead of the customer pulling out a purse and paying for it, she says she will pay another time, and Pickles makes a low bow and says, "With pleasure, madam," and it is written down in a book. The customers come again and again and by quantities. in spite of being afraid of Ginger and Pickles. But there is no money in what is called the till. There's another little picture of Peter Rabbit going into the shop. The customers came in crowds every day and bought quantities, especially the toffee customers. But there was always no money. They never paid for as much as a pennyworth of peppermints. But their sales were enormous, 10 times as large as Tabitha Twitchit's. As there was always no money, Ginger and Pickles were obliged to eat their own goods. Pickles ate biscuits and Ginger ate a dried haddock. They ate them by candlelight after the shop was closed. When it came to January the 1st, there was still no money, and Pickles was unable to buy a dog licence. "It is very unpleasant. I am afraid of the police," said Pickles. "It is your own fault for being a terrier. I do not require a licence, and neither does Kep the collie dog." "It is very uncomfortable. I am afraid I shall be summoned. I have tried in vain to get a licence upon credit at the post office," said Pickles. "The place is full of policemen. I met one as I was coming home." "Let us send in the bill again to Samuel Whiskers, Ginger. He owes 22 shillings and 9 pence for bacon." "I do not believe that he intends to pay at all," replied Ginger. "And I feel sure that Anna Maria pockets things. Where are all the cream crackers?" "You have eaten them yourself," replied Ginger. Ginger and Pickles retired into the back parlour. They did accounts. They added up sums and sums and sums. You can see them doing the sums there. "Samuel Whiskers has run up a bill as long as his tail. He has had 1 ounce and 3/4 of snuff since October. What is 7 pounds of butter at 1 shilling and 3 pence, and a stick of sealing wax and 4 matches? Send in all the bills again to everybody, with compliments," replied Ginger. After a time they heard a noise in the shop, as if something had been pushed in at the door. They came out of the back parlour. There was an envelope lying on the counter, and a policeman writing in a notebook. Pickles nearly had a fit. He barked and made little rushes. "Bite him, Pickles, bite him," sputtered Ginger behind a sugar barrel. "He's only a German doll." The policeman went on writing in his notebook. Twice he put his pencil in his mouth, and once he dipped it in the treacle. Pickles barked till he was hoarse, but still the policeman took no notice. He had bead eyes, and his helmet was sewed on with stitches. It's a little picture of the policeman. At length, on his last little rush, Pickles found that the shop was empty, and the policeman had disappeared, but the envelope remained. "Do you think that he has gone to fetch a real live policeman? I am afraid it is a summons," said Pickles. "No," replied Ginger, who had opened the envelope. "It is the rates and taxes. 3 pounds, 19 shillings, 11 3/4 pence. "This is the last straw," said Pickles. "Let us close the shop." And they put up the shutters and left, but they have not removed from the neighbourhood. In fact, some people wish they had gone further. Ginger is living in the Warren. I do not know what occupation he pursues. He looks stout and comfortable. Pickles is at present a gamekeeper. The closing of the shop caused great inconvenience. Tabitha Twitchit immediately raised the price of everything a halfpenny, and she continued to refuse to give credit. Of course, there are the tradesmen's carts, the butcher, the fishman, and Timothy Baker. But a person cannot live on seed wigs and sponge cake and butter buns, not even when the sponge cake is as good as Timothy's. After a time, Mr. John Dormouse and his daughter began to sell peppermints and candles, but they did not keep self-fitting 6s, and it takes 5 mice to carry one 7-inch candle. Besides, the candles which they sell behave very strangely in warm weather. You can see that they bend over. And Miss Dormouse refused to take back the ends when they were brought back to her with complaints. And when Mr. John Dormouse was complained to, he stayed in bed and would say nothing but "very snug," which is not the way to carry on a retail business. So everybody was pleased when Sally Henny Penny sent out a printed poster to say that she was going to reopen the shop. Henny's opening sale, grand cooperative jumble, Penny's penny prices, come buy, come try, come buy. The poster really was most enticing. There was a rush upon the opening day. The shop was crammed with customers, and there were crowds of mice upon the biscuit canisters. Sally Henny Penny gets rather flustered when she tries to count out change, and she insists on being paid cash, but she is quite harmless. And she has laid in a remarkable assortment of bargains. There is something to please everybody. The end. Thanks for watching.